Welcome to the second episode of the China Internet Show. Whether you're a business person, an expat living in China, or a tourist coming here for pleasure, understanding what's going on in the minds of Chinese people is essential to having the best interactions while you're here. Today is May 13, 2021. My name is Gary Isse. I'm the founder of ShekouDaily and EatForCharity, and I'll be your host as we take a look inside what Chinese people are saying in China, how they're feeling, and what's going on in the country. Today, we have a hard-hitting topic for our headline story. But first, we'll start with a summary, 2 to 3 minutes, of the hottest stories from China's social media, including Weibo, WeChat, Douyin, and more. The 7th population census in China was just released on May 11th, and there's no surprise. China is still the most populous country in the world, with 1.41 billion people. What netizens are mostly talking about, though, is the ratio of men to women. According to census data, there are 688.44 million women compared to 723.34 million men. That's 34.9 million more men than women. Men are overwhelmingly responding to the news online with comments like, "This must be why it's so hard to find a wife." And based on this news, some have pointed out that now may be the perfect time to start a sex doll business. In tragic news, a scooter caught fire in an elevator on May 10th, badly burning its occupants, including an infant. So netizens are heartbroken over the incident, in particular for the infant, and are urging better enforcement of the existing laws that are supposed to prevent people from taking their scooters into elevators. Another situation that netizens are outraged about this week is the tragic story of a young student who fell to his death in Chengdu while at school. The story has been viewed over 700 million times and received over 110 million comments. The outrage revolves around the fact the parents said they were not allowed to check the surveillance videos and apparently weren't even notified for hours after the incident. Some netizens aren't happy with how things have been unfolding and have vowed to do their own detective work into the situation. On a slightly comical yet disturbing note, zoo workers are now using chickens to try to bait the last of 3 remaining leopards that escaped from a zoo in Hangzhou 3 weeks ago. Netizens are outraged as well after the zoo just revealed that the leopards actually escaped on April 19th. The public was originally told they'd escaped during the May holiday weekend. Hopefully, they'll be able to find the leopard and return her to the zoo humanely before anyone gets hurt. In absolutely horrifying news, strong winds blew the glass out of a bridge in Longjing City of Jilin Province on May 7th, while 300 tourists were on it. Understandably, the tourists froze and were paralyzed, not knowing what to do. Fortunately, all 300 made it off the bridge safely and no one was injured. Hundreds of these types of glass bridges have popped up all over China since the first one appeared over 3 years ago. Netizens are mostly laughing at the situation, commenting that the adrenaline-seeking people that walk these types of bridges have finally got what they're looking for. Netizens are also having a field day commenting about a lady who snuck into business class on a flight from Beijing on May 9th. She paid for an economy class seat, refused to leave a business class seat that she was squatting in, and had to be forcibly removed. The flight had already started taxiing, but hadn't taken off yet, and had to turn around to have her escorted off the plane. Most netizens displayed doubt and disbelief about a comment she made while on the flight, claiming that she was a law student at the prestigious Peking University in an attempt, I guess, to not have to give up the seat. The gist of most comments online: how could someone from such a respected school behave so insanely? The visa office of the US Embassy in China was recently accused of calling Chinese people dogs. After the news broke, many foreigners have commented that they don't understand the accusations. So we thought we'd break it down for you today in our headline story. The visa office of the US Embassy in China posted what looked like a cute message on Weibo. Weibo is China's version of Twitter. So this post was announcing in Chinese that students will soon be able to apply for visas to go to study in the US. They included a funny picture of a puppy stuck in a type of gate with a caption saying something to the extent of, "Do you feel like this dog? Are you ready to get out and play?" So the post caused a firestorm on Chinese social media as people across the country took offense to the wording and to the post. So much so that it had to be deleted and public apologies had to be made. Over the last few days, I've consulted with numerous Chinese people on the matter, and the consensus is that there are two issues at play here. The first is that dogs in general don't have the same reputation in China as they do in other countries. And the feelings many people have about dogs are different. Yes, now more and more people are having dogs as pets, and this is changing, but still, dogs are seen by most as a type of wild animal, and people do not appreciate being compared to them in any way. Even using a very playful and affectionate term like puppy dog eyes when speaking with a Chinese person could get you into trouble. So the second issue is about how some could feel there was a connection made between the dog, the reference to the dog, and Chinese people. The post, of course, did not directly call people dogs, but some had interpreted an indirect connection or some sort of connection. So no matter how indirect the connection may be, the feelings I mentioned earlier about dogs are so strong that even the slightest hint towards that kind of connection could cause a negative reaction. So I'd like to give you an example. It's the F word, right? The translation for this in Chinese is very, very bad. So using this word in any context in a conversation with a Chinese person will likely be interpreted in a negative way. So if you are overheard by someone saying something even like, "Hey, that's effing awesome," they likely hear, "F you." If you say, "No effing way," they likely hear, "F you." If you say, "Hey, this is my favorite effing movie," they likely hear, "F you." So unless you're looking for trouble, I'd recommend extreme caution using the F word in China. This type of situation has, of course, led many foreigners to feel that Chinese are overly sensitive and overreact even to innocent and playful remarks. Part of the problem with this particular dog situation, though, is that it was posted in Chinese, presumably by Chinese people. So Chinese readers assume that the authors, they assume that the authors should have understood that culturally, Chinese people would make this type of indirect connection and that they would have this kind of reaction to it. So in today's social media driven world, it's too easy for something that we say or post, even something that we think is innocent enough, to be taken completely differently in the eyes of others. Add cultural differences to the equation, and we could have a recipe for disaster. So, whose responsibility is it to prevent these kind of situations? Is it the author's responsibility to ensure that the receivers understand their intended meaning and that they don't misconstrue it? Or is it the receiver's responsibility to try to understand the author's intention in their communication, even if it wasn't clear? So after spending many years in China, my answer would have to be, of course, it's both. If you posted something on social media, specifically to a certain group, and that certain group is culturally sensitive or the content is culturally sensitive to that group, then you're a jerk for having posted without being sure that what you're posting isn't okay or is okay. Right? If you're reading someone's post on social media and their intentions aren't clear, yet you immediately assume that it's negative or take offense to it and cause a commotion online about it, then you're also being a jerk. Right? So anyway, I'd like to thank one of our viewers, Phil, who commented on our pilot episode and recommended this topic. I hope you found it useful. If any of you have any questions, topic ideas that you'd like us to cover, or suggestions of any kind, please be sure to leave those suggestions in the comments below, and we'll do our best to address them. Thank you for watching the second episode of the China Internet Show, which is brought to you by EatForCharity. If you're looking for a way to order food, drinks, groceries, pet food, or medicine while in China, then use EatForCharity. Not only can you order food for dining out at restaurants or for delivery, but you can also feel good knowing that a percentage of the money from every order you place is donated to a local charity of your choice. Visit www.eatforcharity.cn to order or scan the QR code for the Eat for Charity mini program. Eat good, do good. So I'd like to give a special thanks to the team that's come together to make this happen. Please leave us your comments below to let us know what you think.